We're getting under the skin of canoe sprint, the flat water canoeing discipline, and a major medal prospect for Team GB at the London Olympic Games. So what does it take to reach the top in canoe sprint? Senior men's kite coach and former Olympic bronze medalist Ian Wynne knows only too well.
It's 100% full-time commitment. These guys this week, they're averaging 20 hours of training this week. Typically we do 3 sessions a day, Monday to Friday, Saturday a couple of sessions and then Sunday rest.
Good work guys, really stretch for the reach, lock on and try and stand up on each stroke.
I'm optimistic, you know, it's a really young team, they're very committed, they're working well. In themselves they've improved massively over the last few years, so long term it's good prospects.
The senior GB squad is fed from development crews up and down the country, one of which is based on the River Severn at Worcester.
I'm Ryan, I'm 6'4".
I'm Dan, I'm 6'2". I'm George, 6'2".
I'm Will and I want to be 6 foot.
All aboard!
It's just a pure adrenaline rush, to be honest. You get the speed picks up because obviously you've got 4 times the power then in a K1, and it's just the first few strokes are just pure adrenaline. It's interesting, it's different to the normal land sports where it's all safe and sort of structured. This is a bit different and anything can happen. So you've always got the adrenaline pumping and always the heart's beating. It's always going. Training wise, you can do aerobic things, you might do long distance or you might do running. Obviously in the winter you do a lot of paddle machines, but you do a lot of weights as well in the winter to sort of build up your strength and power, ready for the summer to work on your speed.
I first started when I was about 11, just doing the play boats, not racing at all, just doing the plastic boats, the rolling around and things. Then I really started to enjoy that, so I took up racing. There was a few adults in the club that were taking out some groups, training them up to race, so they invited me along to that and it just started from there really.
When you have a good day's training and you have a good session, you get off the water buzzing. You just really, if you had a hard day at school or work and you come down and train with the guys and you come off the water and your moods change completely. You feel really, really good. I'm very passionate about my sport. I very much enjoy it, and the guys that are in canoeing I think are brilliant. They're really, really nice people.
I don't see why it should be a sport for guys. There's just as many girls that want to do a stronger sport. I mean, you do need to be strong to do sprint racing, so I don't see why girls can't be strong as well.
Jenna Hawkey came to canoe sprint from surf lifesaving, so there's no questioning her strength, both mentally and physically.
Well, surf lifesaving is a massive sport in Australia. I think their national championships is the second largest sports competition in the world after the Olympics. It's helped me a lot, yeah, it's helped me learn to enjoy what I'm doing. That's probably the most important thing. The ski paddling element, it's probably helped with fear, because you've got to make sure you don't have any fear if you're going out through 6-foot surf. Well, now I'm on the women's GB sprint squad. We're training towards the Olympics in 2012. We're lucky enough to actually all be full-time athletes. There's 9 of us on the squad. We're lucky enough to get lottery funding, so we train 3 times a day. Today we're here racing for selection to go to the World Cups and the European Championships, and eventually we're hoping to be training towards the Olympics.
To represent Great Britain in London, I think it's got to be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to walk into that stadium on the opening day and know that the crowd's going to be cheering for you guys as a nation. And then if you were to come here on race day and the crowds are going to be here, and if you were to win a medal or win a gold medal here for Great Britain, then everyone's suddenly going to know who you are. And then when you walk back into that stadium on closing day, people are going to know who you are, and there's going to be a whole stadium cheering when you walk in. And I think that's just going to be something that, you know, is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and has to be given total respect, and has to be given, you know, serious commitment if you want to do it. And I think it's worth it as well, because it's going to be an awesome experience. The whole event will be awesome.
As strong as GB Canoeing's talent pool is, Canoe Sprint isn't just for elite athletes.
I think one of the best things about our sport is that you don't have to enter it with the aim to become Olympic champion at the end of the day. There's lots and lots of people involved in our sport who are just happy being in a club, being in an environment where you can just go out and paddle, and you've got access to the equipment and facilities, and being surrounded by people of all ages and all abilities. So the beauty of our sport is you're not made to feel guilty if your aspirations aren't to become Olympic champion. If your aspirations to come down and train once a week and enjoy the sport, then that's absolutely fine too, because you can contribute in so many other ways to a club environment.
Clubs are an integral part of canoeing and give all paddlers the opportunity to develop at their own pace.
Daniel, are you ready? Go!
For racing, and Canoe Sprint in particular, being a member of a club gives you that sense of belonging that can make competing a real joy. Not only can you use club boats to start out in racing, you also get high quality coaching and access to more experienced racers who can give you help and guidance. Most clubs also run their own internal races and training camps, so you can get valuable experience before moving up to national regattas.
When you first go down to a club, then they're going to teach you how to paddle, and that's just going to be in front of the clubhouse, a couple of laps of the river, learning about your stability and what you can do. And most clubs have a group set up, like any other sports clubs, where the first phase is to learn the sport, and then you move into a group that's slightly better, and another group that's even better than that, and before you know it, you're doing, you know, interval sessions and being taken away to races, and you're really well and truly in the sport there. And that's the best way to start in a group and progress up through each group. So clubs are ideal for learning to progress in kayaking.
A key part of that progression is developing good technique.
In a sprint kayak, the sitting position is slightly different to a rough water boat. In a rough water boat, we call them closed cockpit kayaks, and you snuggle down inside really tight. But in a sprint kayak, you sit much more on top of them. That's very important because you need to be able to drive with your legs, and the knees are really quite high. So we sit with feet fairly close together, ready to steer with the telebar if necessary, but very, very importantly, driving extremely hard from the feet against the footrest every time we paddle.
After your catch, you've just put your paddle in the water. Then you've got basically a drive phase where you have a fraction of a second to put as much power down as you can, and you've got to keep that locked arm, and you've got your foot on the footrest, and there's a bit of a circle where you push with your footrest and rotate round, and then you have to exit the paddle stroke by recovering and preparing for the next stroke. And you'll notice that as I do that, you've got the straight arm, my hips are as far round as they can be in the K4. I've got my bent leg on one side, so that as I push, my leg bends, I'm pushing with my hips and my leg, my arm's straight, and I exit and recover, and I'm ready to do it again on the next side, and now this leg is bent, and my other hip is up. So those are the general three phases: the catch at the front, straight arm, focusing on using your shoulders and your big muscles at the back, rotate around using the hips and the back, exit, and again on the other side.
You've got to really focus on your individual game in a K4, but as well you've got to bring that all together as a unit so that you can really drive together, and absolutely everything's got to be on the money together at the start of the stroke, so that the boat really does run along. And when it goes right, it really does feel brilliant, fantastic cruise when you get it going. Really amazing.
In part 3, we find out how to get started in the sport, discover why coaches are essential for success, and reveal why canoeists are some of the nicest people around.